I would contend it was a pretty voluntary move on his part. It was. He gave evidence that he had an assailant. He said one of the assailants pinned to the platform. The man shouted, "Paddy, Paddy, come and help me!" And he said that this Paddy Maharis, he said, came and hit him across the back of the head with a gun and knocked him out. You see, there were 8 people involved in the rescue of Hogan that knocked down. 8 Irishmen. But strange enough, that one of them was Paddy. So it was fabricated evidence. And why did they fabricate that? You know, and why there was a Farrington and a Sullivan as well. They all fabricated evidence. And the reason they fabricated evidence was because Wallace was left to defend himself and fight for his own life on the platform in Knockdown. Nobody came to his assistance. You know, it was I suppose it was cowardice on these people's part. So to cover up that, this false evidence was sworn, and that's what led to the execution of Mahon. Wallace the family made a poignant plea for clemency for the men he did. The 7th of June 1921, they were executed in Mount Ida. The only black and tan to be executed now was executed the same day, William Mitchell. Maher had absolutely no involvement whatever in it, you know. And when I was researching this thing, a son of Sean Hogan Jr. was alive that time, he was, and had several hours and hours and hours of conversation with the man. And he always told me how the executions of Maher and Foley impacted on his life more than anything else. The significance of Knockdown, the third fatal attack on the War of Independence. The inquest jury came out. Inspector McLean, this district inspector took more or less direct the jury to a verdict. You know, you bring in this verdict, and he said to the jury, he said, there's no alternative here but to bring in a verdict of willful murder. Now the jury didn't bring in the verdict of willful murder. They brought in a verdict of death by hemorrhage and shock from gunshot wounds and all of this. And they also brought in a rider with the verdict to call on the police to stop raiding houses and doing arrests between the hours of 8 o'clock in the night and 8 o'clock in the morning, and not to be behaving in such a way as to lead to the exasperations of the people and all of this. So the poor coroner, when he was faced with his rider, he said to the foreman, he said, what will I do with this? He said, who am I going to send it to? And the foreman said, send it to Lloyd George. He says, no, I said, don't bother. He said, he's going to throw it in the waste paper basket. He said, maybe send it to MacPherson. He was the Attorney General. And he said, no, he said, don't even bother. He said, do what you want with it, you know. Like, propaganda is worth a lot. And when these things found their way to national newspapers, these were a big boost for the effort of the volunteers. So, you win nothing without public opinion behind you. And with Solihull Bank, it wasn't that most popular, was it? Now, we said, Archbishop Harty, he directed the sermon to be given in Tipperary town. John was saying, where Tipperary leads, Ireland follows. He said, I hope, he says, that they'll not follow this bloody path. A couple of weeks after, Archbishop Harty was given a confirmation in Feathered. And he said nothing about that, he didn't, but he did speak strongly at that confirmation about the behaviour of the RSA and the way they were treating the people. So, when mindsets begin to change, this is what it's all about, you know. Celebrated the famous ballad, The Station on Knockdown, the rescue of Sean Hogan at the station on Knockdown. And so I suppose, you know, guaranteed Hogan's place in history. Up to that point, maybe even to this point, we don't really know that much about him, you know. Seamus Robinson in his statement kind of gives graphic details of the return to Dublin, you know, the swimming on the Shannon and the boat, the tenders and troops going up and down the wave and that and all of this, you know. They stopped in Laura, shortly after the time in Laura, Sergeant Philip Brady was shot there. Sean Hogan was, the other Sean Hogan now, he was telling me a funny story about when they were in Laura, a crowd of young lads, you know, they were in whatever house they were in, and said the commander was raiding an orchard, and they said to Hogan, come on with us, you know, and they left to go, then Hogan, Mason's Hogan to get me going, you know, they only going to raid an orchard. But two policemen were killed in Tumilvar and Lackamore, and in Kilcormac as well. So every place these fellas went, a trail of blood followed them. And they arrived in Dublin in September 1919, and this was the G Division of the RSC were wreaking havoc in Dublin. And these fellas, they joined with Collins's squad to counter this. They said with mostly with Flemings of Finglas, Ryan Savinci Core, and Phil Shannon and Hollyford, and he had a pub in the Red Lake district of Dublin, 4 years. And that's what mostly hung out in it. The four were part of the successful attack on our French at Ashtown in December of 1919. Green was badly wounded in that, he was. Paddy Daly, or Paddy O'Daly, who I suppose achieved notoriety after, I suppose, the Free State Army in Kerry, he was a member of that group that went to kill our French. And Hogan pulled a pin in a grenade, and when he went to throw it, it fell out of his hand, and it fell on the ground between Daly and Daly himself. And when it exploded, the law of averages would have meant it to have killed everybody. But it exploded, and all it done was throw up a big heap of dirt and dust around him. And Daly was going to kill Hogan, he was, you know. But so when the dust settled, Hogan looked and said, God, he said, Paddy, we had a close one there, hadn't we? You know. And Daly happened to see the funny side of it. It wasn't the first move to kill our French. Previous to that was another move. And Hogan, he spent the morning on Queen Street Bridge with a grenade in each pocket. And he was walking up and down, and to while away the time, he pulled the pins to the grenade, and he kept down the explosive mechanism. And it was a freezing cold morning, and our French never came. And after whatever number of hours he made, he went back to Malone's in Brampton Street, the safe house, and had prized the grenades from his hands, you know. There was another 10 men in our French that Hogan's part as well, in near Dublin Castle, and that attempt on our French life near Dublin Castle led to huge acrimony and everlasting bitterness between Michael Collins and Seamus Robinson. All love was lost between them that day. A close friend of Martin Savage was killed in the attack. Savage and Hogan were good friends. Savage didn't have any gun, but he wanted to go on this mission. And Hogan said, no, he said, no bother, said, we'll take care of that. And Savage insisted, and Hogan procured a weapon for him. And Savage was killed in that attack. And Hogan, it affected him more than anything. Now, he was back in Limerick in February 1920 to identify suspected spy. The man found his way into Eamon the Wires in Kilshanane, called himself Sean O'Farrell, and O'Farrell said that he was a member of a column in Clare, and he was so wanted over there that he just had to leave that area for his own safety. And he came to the Wire, and the Wire dismissed him out of hand for whatever reason. Now, that didn't go down too well with the local volunteers, didn't, because they kind of liked this guy, did you know, he was an affable kind of a fella. But anyway, the Wire was having none of it. A little while later he turned up that area near between Rosgray Mount Rat there. You turn up there to a man called Ned Quinn, or this fellow calling himself Bracken. I forget now his first name he went by. Now, this man, he had an appetite for a bottle of whiskey a day, he had, and he was very anxious to make contact with what we call the Big Four. And he became such an expensive client with this fondness for whiskey that they just wanted to be on his way. Now, a man turns up in the area of Newcastle West, down that area, calling himself Padder Clancy. And he was very anxious to meet up with Tracy, Robinson, Hogan and Breen. And they entertained him down there for quite a while, they did. Now, a man called Michael Sheely from the geography kind of beats me nowadays, but back that country, Broadford, Newcastle West, that country, Sheely became suspicious of him, he did. And now, he was going by the name of Padder Clancy, and they invited Hogan to come down from Dublin to identify him as not being Padder Clancy. And Hogan came down and duly identified him. Hogan knew Padder Clancy, and he said, no, this is Padder Clancy, he said. Now, the man, his actual name was Dennis Crowley, and he was the man who was actually Sean O'Farrell by the name of Bracken. And he wasn't a spy or anything like that, he was actually a bounty hunter. And it was a reward of £1,000 for these fellas, and he was out to collect £1,000. He was an expedition soldier, he was. There was a court-martial held. He was just executed, he was. I don't know had Hogan any input into his execution, but Michael Sheehy said that he said Sean Hogan assured me that the man had spiritual assistance before he died, which would lead me to believe that Hogan had some central involvement in the execution of the man. Just when he was there, say in that area, with Sean Finn, there was a disputed auction in Rakean, and he was O'Brien from Ratu House over near Listowa. He was buying cattle, he was, and the Ratu House was under boycott. It was so. Sergeant George Naser and Constable Ryan, they were given O'Brien protection, and when the fair was over in Rakean, they jumped to Ward's Hotel. Before that, Naser went to Pallasgrean to visit his people, and he came back then, and himself and Constable Ryan went into what kind of smoking room in Ward's Hotel in Rakean, and while they were there, they were attacked by Sean Finn, and Hogan was part of that. Outrage and reprisal. The inquest into the killings of Enright and Wallace in Kilmallock, they were a propaganda for the IRA. Now, a number of inquests were to follow kind of quickly after that, or soon after that, in March of 1920. Thomas McCurtain, where the jury returned a verdict of wilful murder against Lloyd George, Sir John French, and a whole heap of people connected with the British administration in Ireland. The inquest into James McCarthy in Thurles was something similar. There was a killing of Tom the Wire in Rag. Now, there was a constable shot in Thurles, Constable Luke Finnegan. And when, just after Finnegan being killed, the police and the British Army in Thurles went on the rampage and they basically wrecked the town, and any home of any known nationals was attacked. Now, this came up, of course, for debate in the House of Commons, because at that particular time, there was a Labour Party delegation in Thurles to see what was going on. They were all over it, but it happened to be in Thurles, and they saw this first hand. And Lloyd George said that he couldn't condone what happened, But he said he could understand it, he said we've had, he said, Sinn Féin murder clubs, he said. Now he says we want to have anti-murder clubs. And it's returned then, this led to the green light for police to take the law into their own hands. And then we had what we describe as outrage followed by reprisal. The Black and Tans were formed to reinforce the RSC. Contrary to popular belief, they weren't from lunatic asylums or prisons or anything like that. They were mostly veterans of the First World War. They were. Maybe from gas and shell shock, maybe they should have been in lunatic asylums. But lots of what he said about him is not true. There's enough that can be said about him that is true, of course. A corps of ex-officers, the former auxiliaries, they were sent with one purpose, that was to terrorise the people of Ireland. Sean Hogan was, they just tied the security, you know, they said, but all access into Dublin was basically sealed off, and the movement became almost impossible. And this is what led to the death of Tracy. Tracy and these fellows, they left Tipperary and the south part of Ireland to go to Dublin because things were too hard for them here. Now the same was happening in Dublin. And they were making their way back to Tipperary. Tracy wanted to make his way back to Tipperary. And he went into Paddock Clancy's, I mentioned, the Republican outfitters in Thornton Street. Phil Shanahan, the bike left for him there. And that's when Tracy was killed. Dan Breen, the basically photograph of Dan Breen with his foot in the fork digging potatoes. And that was in a garden in Latin. And when he was there, just Hogan brought the news to him there that Tracy was killed. The return to Tipperary. Towards October, talks began to be, you know, in brigade headquarters in Pallasgrean about the formation of these flying columns. And there was a flying column formed under the command of Dinny Lacey. Now, quite a few men from East Limerick were members of that flying column, including John Joe O'Brien, Sean Lynch was another, Danny Grace, Gary Douglas. Quite a few because of a dispute between Donegal Hannigan and Lee Mann that went back, I suppose you could trace it back to 1916. Hogan comes back to South Tipperary. Now, he takes charge of a number two flying column, the formation and the charge of a number 2 flying column. And I suppose really he floated the idea himself. And he more or less proposed himself as the leader of it. See, as he said himself, he had better to be doing at the time. But for whatever reason, Seamus Robinson said that he was appointed. Tommy Ryan at Castlebar said that he just kind of took it on himself to be leader of it. But for whatever reason, anyway, he became leader of it. Because imagine a 19-year-old, you know, leading on his own flying column like that. See Hogan there at the back left. They moved around South Tipperary, mostly South Tipperary, avoiding roundups. They did take part in a number of attacks, you know, on patrols.